two things that we want to keep on your radar. First one was camp, summer camp. How many of you guys been to Crowder's Ridge for a fall retreat, shoots for summer camp? Something or another, you've been to Crowder's Ridge, all right. Awesome place. We have 40 some spots-ish. Is that including leaders?
That's a really good question.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I think we have 40 for...
I know it didn't tell us.
We have to have leaders go. It's important.
I mean, I guess.
All right. So we got about 40 for high school, 40 for middle school. I will tell you this, though. High schoolers are beating middle schoolers right now in signups for summer camp. What?
Yeah.
All right, go high schoolers. I love you middle schoolers, too. That was just my way of... Today we're going to talk about spurring you on to good works. I'm trying to spur them on to sign up. Spur them on. Second thing is for high schoolers, if you are 10th, 11th, or 12th grade, we are going to college for a weekend at Liberty University. It is April the 5th, the 6th, the 7th, and the 8th. I can count. I'm really good there. That's a Thursday through a Sunday. It's incredible. I mean, what you saw in there is just a tiny bit of the things you experience at college for a weekend. It's not just a retreat to get away and have some fun. It's an opportunity to experience college life. If you kind of know what you maybe want to study in college, you can actually go and sit in on classes of that major. You can ask questions of professors, get to know college students, and it really does. Even if you choose not to go to Liberty University, it helps begin to build that idea of what it's like to be in college. It helps the decision-making process, and we want to give you the guys that opportunity. $50 for the whole weekend. That includes your meals. I know, Stuart, I can eat a lot, you know, and they're going to lose money on me, right? And so we want you guys to be there. And so both of those, you can register online at our student ministry page. If you follow us on Instagram, which you should, duh, the link is in our bio there. You can also go to Bethlehem's website and go to the student page. You will see both summer camp and college for weekend sign up. Guys, I'm so excited you're here. We honestly, we didn't know, you know, on a Sunday like this, how many of you guys would show up for second service. Obviously, it was a lot more than we planned. But that's awesome. It's great to have all of you here. We have a really powerful message for you today. If you don't already know this, we do broadcast our services online. We are live on YouTube. We have a YouTube channel. And the cool thing for me is that we get to hear from people that aren't even close to here, that have gone online and searched for something or looking for something, and they get to come and they get to hear the truth of God's Word. For those of you, maybe you're going on vacation or you missed a week of a certain series, and you say, man, I really want to stay in touch with what we're learning, you can find our YouTube channel, and you can follow along. So I want to say hey to those of you that are watching online as well. Today we are in the second week of our series called DM. We're talking about dating and marriage. It's such a powerful topic, and it's something that I want to ask as we go to prayer here just a little bit, that you guys would pray with me and begin to think along the line of, God, what would you have me to know? Before we do that, though, we're gonna do something that we've done every week. But for those of you, maybe you haven't been here in a while, maybe you haven't ever been here, and you question, why are we doing this down in the student ministry? We take an offering every week. Because the truth is that as believers, we are part of the entire church. Even though you are students, we're down here in the student building, we're part of the mission of Bethlehem Church. And God gives us the opportunity to give back some of what He has given us. And got an allowance, or you know, compared to $40 billion, hey, you've been given something awesome. If you work, you've earned your money. But God has given you the gifts to be able to do that. So what we do as a church is we do take an offering, and we combine that money to impact this community. And this church has been a blessing in this community. It's one of the first things that I learned about this church when I came here over 7 years ago. I sat in the Waffle House up there on Remount Road near the hotels, and I asked the lady, I said, hey, have you ever heard of Bethlehem Church? It was the first time that you're ever going to visit here. And she said, oh my word, they made such a difference in my life. She said, I was going through an addiction, and I was struggling, and me and my husband, we were struggling, and the people from Bethlehem embraced us, and we didn't even go to that church, but some people cared about us and helped us walk through some very difficult times in life. And that's a part of the church that you are a part of. And when we give to the offering, that's part of what you give to, along with all of the things that maybe you do hear about, the backpack ministry and Closet of Hope, Hope for Gaston, and Convoy of Hope, a lot of hopes. But we want you guys to be a part of that. We've asked a couple people to come and help us with offering today. And so if those guys would come, we're gonna pass some baskets back and forth. If you have some money that you want to give toward the offering, that is fantastic. That's awesome. If you know that it's going to go to that. If you don't feel bad about that. Don't sit there. We do this to give you guys that means of opportunity. Some of you guys I know give in the service up top, and that's cool too. I do want to encourage you this week when you go into your schools. We have heard a lot of distressing news over the past year, and while we're getting ready to sing again, we're going to sing some bold words about God and who He is. I want to encourage each of you to be strong, to have courage, and to know that regardless of where you are in life, whether it's at school or in your workplace or hiking and climbing the side of a mountain or whatever you do, wherever you go, the Bible tells us that we are to be strong in the Lord. That He is our rescue, He is our help, He's our ever-present help, meaning never-ending help in times of trouble. So while distressing news will come and will go, it's come for the entirety of history. The one thing that we know to be true is that God is in control, and that even though we may not see His plan in action, that God will be there with you no matter what. And I want you to know that we are praying for you as a student ministry team. This church is praying for you. You guys, we lift you guys up on a regular basis. If you're struggling, if you're going through difficult times, and you just want to know that somebody is praying specifically for what you're going through, there's a lot of ways you can contact us. And probably the easiest way to tell you, for most of you that have social media, is if you do follow us on Instagram, if you just send us a message, direct message us to the BC Students NC Instagram, we will be faithful to pray for you. I know Stuart and I did that immediately, and we will spend time to pray for you. Definitely will. I want to pray. Again, I'd ask that you pray along with me, that God would speak to us today through His message. God, we love you. We honor you. We give you the glory for this day. Bless us as we go into our time of singing. We want to worship you with our voices. What a privilege that is. But as we sing these words, I pray that as we're giving them to you as a gift, you gave us the breath in which we can sing them. Lord, I pray that the words would then speak to us, speak truth about who you are. God, I pray that as we worship you through the listening, through the speaking of your message through the Bible, Lord, you would encourage us. You would teach us what it means to have right relationships in this world. God, we love you. We praise you. We're going to sing to you now. Pray that you be honored by it. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Guys and girls, would you stand and sing with us?
Oh Shadows in comparison to how powerful and how great you truly are, Lord. And what's so significant is that's the God that we turn our life over to. The God who is great, who can be touched by none other. That's the God that we surrender our life over to and say, Lord, you know what, in every area, whether it's my dating life, whether it's my friendships, whether it's my social media interaction, anything in my life, Lord, I open my heart up and I ask you to come in and to show me what I need to change to better please you. So I'm not steering people away from Christ, I'm steering people to Christ. And I hope that's our desire today, Lord, to live a life that screams that God is real, God loves you, He'll forgive you where you failed, and He wants a relationship with you, an active relationship with us. That still blows my mind to this day, Lord, that you want to have a relationship with me. I'm valuable to you. And God, I pray today, I know that you love every single person in this room. You love us with a love that we cannot comprehend. And because of that, we ask that you speak to our hearts, Lord. We thank you so much that you're the God who is in control. Nothing slips by you. And that we can trust you with everything in our life, Lord. Speak to our hearts today. In your precious name, amen.
Series called DM. Before we do that, you may have seen some of the Boy Scouts around church today. This is Boy Scout Sunday, and so we had several of them hanging out. Boy Scouts are a partner with us. We're a partner with the Boy Scouts. It's a pretty cool thing. The Cub Scouts thing meet down here. Boy Scouts meet up on the top part of our property. We've been impacted by them being here, and we actually have one of our students here. He was here during first service. Christopher Johnson, he is an Eagle Scout, which means that he attained the highest level that you can get. Many of our presidents of the United States have been Eagle Scouts, and so it's a really important thing. And he did his Eagle Scout project outside. The outdoor chapel with the benches and the stage out there was built by him. That was just grass and dirt and roots, and he came in and built that for us. He also built this podium, so I figured I'd use that today in honor of Boy Scout Sunday. Today we are moving into this, the next part of this series about dating and marriage. Cool, man. We're going to talk about dating. That's going to be fun. Yep. Except that last week we didn't really talk about dating as much. We talked about having a relationship with God. And there's purpose for that. There's a point in us starting a series called DM, which, doesn't really stand for dating and marriage. You guys are going to be really hesitant to ask anybody to DM you because, it means direct message, right? But here's the direct message that we brought to you. Oh, nice time. Way to go. Cool. Is that this? If we're going to talk about dating and marriage, the first thing we got to talk about is the relationship with God. What we've understood and what we've learned here in student ministry, both on Sunday mornings when we meet together like this, and Sunday nights when we come together as high schoolers. High schoolers, if you're here, I want to encourage you to be back tonight for tonight's message. Middle schoolers, on Wednesday nights for Youth Quake. We talk about the fact of the character of God. And we've talked about who he is, and we've talked about God's holiness and his justice and his righteousness, but we talked about the fact that God is love. Now this is important when you're going into a study that you say we're going to talk about dating and marriage, because hopefully love has something to do with marriage. That's a good thing when it does. So we say that God is love. Not just that God has love or has the ability to love you, but that God literally is love. That means that everything that God does, he does it with love. He is loving towards us. That he can't do anything that is unloving, that would be characterized as not with love. We do that a lot of times. There's a difference between telling someone the truth. Tell me if I'm right on this. There's a difference between telling someone the truth and telling the truth with love, right? How many of you guys know people that like to tell the truth, but it's like fire and garlic coming out of their mouth every time they do it, right? They speak the truth, and you're like, dude, did you have to say that, right? You got to just know how to say things with love. Did you tell them the truth with the intent to love them? God does. God's truth always is in love. So we come to you and we say, if we're going to start the process of saying what it is to have a good relationship, and yes, we are talking about dating and marriage, but really, we can apply this to any sort of relationship at all. If you're going to be a real friend, okay? Guys, look at me. If you're going to be a real friend to somebody, you need to know how to love them. If you're going to be a good daughter or a good son, you're going to have a relationship with parents or grandparents or uncles or guardian, whoever's spending that time to raise you. If you're going to have a good relationship, you need to know how to love them. What about your teachers at school? What about your administrators at school? Your coaches and the people on your team? Yep, you need to know how to love them as well. You want to have good relationships in your life? You want your relationships in your life not to stress you out? Good first place to start is knowing how to love them. The only way that you can know how to love them is to know the source of love. The source of love is God. You have a relationship where you're completely sold out and committed to God. Guess what? You're going to figure out how to love. Because God demonstrated his love towards us, his perfect love towards us, that while we were sinners, while we were rebelling against him, he gave his life for us. The Bible doesn't just say love your best friend. The Bible says love your enemies. Love. Let your life be characterized by the word love. And the only way, students, the only way that you can do that is with a relationship with God. You cannot love someone authentically if you don't first have the relationship right with God. It's not going to happen. It will break down. It can look like it. It can be a great copy of what love looks like up to a certain point. Because love has to come first from God. Everyone that loves, and the Bible, when it says everyone that loves, it doesn't say everyone that pretends like they're loving. It literally means everyone who truly loves knows God and is born of God, because God is love. And then it does the opposite. John says, he who does not love does not know God, for God is love. See, God is love. And we got to know that. It's been a long time. I know we talked about God last week, But I want you to understand that's why we're doing that first. Guess what? Today, we're going to talk about something different. We're going to talk about this thing called community. Community. And you say, man, this does not sound like a message on dating. I want to hear about dating. I want to hear about having boyfriends and girlfriends and stuff like that. I want you to know what I feel if I'm doing the right thing, if I'm doing the wrong thing. Right. That's why we're doing this right. Because here's the thing. I've watched houses be built. Any of you guys ever watched a house be built, see neighborhoods going up in your community? It's amazing how fast those things go up, right? It's like there's some woods. We used to go play, hide and seek in that woods, and next week like 5,000 people are living there because they built all these houses. How does that happen? They don't just throw them up randomly. They build them intentionally. And they build them quickly. But there's a lot of intention going into building a house that will last. Years ago, I had the opportunity to go to Europe. We got to go to England. My mom was a missionary, and she lived outside of London, England. So we went to visit my mom, and she was a part of a choir. It was like if those of you that sing in choir, it's kind of like a district choir, but like for old people. I know I'm old too, but she's older than me, so whatever. But she sang in this choir in England, and it was pretty cool because all these people had these British accents, and they were singing like opera kind of stuff, and Mom's like, I want you to come to this concert. So we went to this concert, we pulled up to this church, and it's an old church. And like around here, there's a church, if you drive down New Hope Road, there's a church that was built in the mid-1700s, right down the road here. And it's really cool. I think it's New Hope Presbyterian Church. 1700s. The church that my mom sang in was built in the 1200s. The 1200s, y'all. Like 800 years ago, this thing was built. And I look, and I get all weirded out by stuff like that. The rocks that were there, I'm like asking the person who takes care of it, is this like an original rock, or did you guys fake it? Like, this is where it was, and you rebuilt it? He goes, nope. Because that rock was placed there 800 years ago. Like somebody prepared that building to last a long time. For your friendships and for your relationships, man, my prayer for you is that you would prepare for the relationships that matter in your life to last a long time. Is that a good plan? Right? If you're going to date somebody, you probably ought to be sure that you're ready to do so. When you have friends, good friends, you need to make sure that that friendship is one that's going to last a long time. Because the problem is when those buildings aren't built right, you see in different countries where there's not regulations on how things are to be built, and people can just kind of throw it together. When natural weather phenomena comes along and a strong wind blows or the earth shakes a little bit, you can tell the types of buildings and how they were built by how they stand up to the storms that happen around them. There's some places where the earth will shake and it damages, but the buildings stand. And then there's others where barely a wind blows and half the city gets knocked down because they haven't been prepared for it. Guys and girls, in your life, the relationships that you have with your friends, with your parents, with your teachers, with your coaches, with your teammates, they're all going to go through struggle. Yeah, you guys ever had struggles with your friends? Like your friends where you just got mad at them and angry at them? Look, sometimes those last because they're good friendships, they're building something solid, and sometimes you never talk to those people again. Adults in your life, if they're honest, mostly the people that you grow up with in elementary school and in middle school and high school, as great as those relationships are, to be honest, when life takes you to different places, you'll remember them. Some you'll remember fondly, some you won't try and remember at all. But those relationships aren't forever relationships a lot of times. There may be a few. So going into life, we want you guys to be prepared that as you make relationships, that you make them in the right way. You build a foundation. When my house was being built here in Gastonia, I don't know if any of you had similar situations. I watched it. And our house was one of the first in our neighborhood to be built. So I watched this process as our neighborhood grew. Like when we found the place where our house was going to be, it was like grass and sticks. We have a picture one spot on the grass, and I'm standing at another spot on the grass, and my kids are like, yay, somewhere in the middle, and we were like, our house is going to be right there. You couldn't tell it. There wasn't a sign saying, house is going to be right here, but we knew it was going to be there. And I watched. We lived in an apartment, and I'd go by there day in and day out, and for like a couple months, it seemed like, nothing seemed to be happening. Yeah, there was a tractor out there, and he pushed dirt around a little bit. But I'm like, that doesn't look like my house. It's like boring. Like, I want to see my house go up. I want to see windows and roof and like an Xbox in there. I want to just go play Xbox in my house right now. That's what I wanted to do, but it was dirt. And he was pushing it around. I'd come out and I'd say, oh, how's it going there, buddy? He's like, get out of my way. I'm pushing dirt. All right, that's cool. And then, finally, I saw them digging. I'm like, my house is about to go up. I'm going to come. I'd go by like twice a day to see if I saw any change. I'd take pictures and look. Oh, yeah, they dug another hole. I don't know why. So there's a hole there. I'm pretty sure it's getting close. But it didn't look like a house. Okay? So I'm sitting there, what's going on? It took weeks, and nothing seemed to be happening. Why? Because they were getting the place where the house would rest. They were getting it ready for something that would last for a long time. Because one day, I drove by, and the guy that was so sick of me coming by and taking pictures, I tried to be nonchalant, right? Like park my car up the block and just kind of walk. Dude, you run in a circle like 5 times. What are you doing? Like, I'm just watching to see if my house is going to go up. So one time I pulled in, he said, hey, come here for a second. He said, we're pouring the house. We're pouring the concrete for your house. You want to watch? I'm like, yes, I do. And so I watched him pour it, and he goes, you'll want to come over, now for the next week. I'm like, no problem. I've been doing it for the last month and a half. And so I came over like 2 days later, and there was all this wood. A tractor trailer came and dropped a bunch of wood on the ground by my house. And I'm like, ooh, there's wood. I don't know where it's going to go, but there's wood by my house, right? And it started to rain, and I went, ooh, it's raining on the inside of my house. Like, it really was, because it was laying out, and I wanted to put a blanket over it. I'm like, that's my house. I was so excited, but it still didn't look like a house. And then one day, when everything was ready, when the entire foundation was ready, and all the people who knew what they were doing were ready, they got this team out there, and they started putting up the walls to my house. And I couldn't stay the whole day, but I came and watched them put the first wall up. And I drove away, I had a lunch meeting, did something. I came back, and the whole bottom of the house was like all framed up. I'm like, oh, it looks like a house. By the end of the day, the second floor of the house was all put up, and they're putting the floor down in the house. I'm like, oh my word, I'm going to live there tomorrow. I was a little bit early to say that, but they finished the whole outside of the house. They put up this stuff, and it looked like my house. I took Carter, and he was little. Sorry, man, I got to tell him, you were little. And we walked over to the house, and we walked in, and it's like a skeleton house, but you can kind of see what it looks like. We walked in the garage, and Carter looks around and sees how big it is. He goes, this is going to be my room. I said, bro, you're not, well, maybe you will sleep in the garage. I don't know. So we took him upstairs, and before there was even really floor on there, he's like, that's going to be my room over there. So he claimed his room even before it was. But the cool thing was, in just a few days, the entire house went up. Now, had I insisted, look, I don't want you to dig the ground. Leave the sticks where they are. Don't pour any concrete. I just want the walls, and I want my room to be done. Put the carpet, put the windows in. I just want to go lay in my bed and play a little Xbox in my room. Forget all that other stuff. How long would my house have lasted? Maybe. Yeah. I mean, that first summer that we were there, a massive thunderstorm came through. Lightning hit so close to the house that it blew nails out of the wall. Like, it was so close. The wind blew. You've ever been in your house when the wind is blowing so hard and you hear it creaking and you're like, is my house going to fall down? No, your house is doing exactly what it was created to do. It moves with the wind so that it doesn't fall down. But if I wanted what I wanted so quickly, my entire house would have fell down on top of me and killed me. That's just the truth of it. And so when we sit here as adults in your life, and look, if you're watching this and you are an adult or adults that you're in here, and we all have to have somebody speaking into our life, teaching us and helping us to grow into the things that we don't know about yet. And when we talk about having a relationship with someone, going into a dating relationship, we don't start necessarily with, this is how to be a good girlfriend. This is is how to be a good boyfriend because it begins a long time before that. It begins with stuff that you would say, hey, this sounds like kind of boring stuff. It doesn't sound like dating stuff. It just sounds like meeting God stuff. Well, the meeting God stuff is the only thing that's going to make sure that when the storms come in your life, that the house doesn't blow down and kill you on the way. You guys understand what I'm saying with that? So we said week one, you got to have a relationship with God. You're going to have a relationship with anybody else. Week two, we're going to go through a couple things. And I want to start out with this. I know that I've given you some questions, some follow-up questions to think through when you walk out of here. So if you want to write some of this stuff down, feel free to do so. Because I'm just going to give you a little insight from what I've learned from 20-some years of student ministry. And as I've learned this insight, I've found that the Bible backs up what I'm going to say. And so in relationships, and I'm going to specifically be speaking towards dating relationships, but in relationships of any kind, there are three things that I see happen that demonstrate a certain unhealthiness. Because right now a lot of you are sitting with friends, and you know, enjoy being together. But sometimes when we see a friend get into a dating relationship, a serious relationship, or maybe a new friend comes into your life, you see patterns change in life. You guys ever had anybody started dating somebody or a new friend came in and they totally changed their behavior because of that person? You ever seen that happen? Don't look around. Don't elbow people on the side. That's not nice. Don't throw pieces of paper at them saying that's you. I just want to know, because we're going to talk today first just three things that I see all the time. I come to kids and I say, hey, look, I know that you're dating somebody. I've never told you I was dating anybody. Come on, let's be real. Everybody told me you're dating somebody, but I think it might be not a healthy situation. How do you know? Why are you going to judge me? It's not a judgment of you, like I think that you're an evil, awful person. It's just that when you see somebody that you love and care about, you see their life change in such a way that you'd say it's unhealthy, you say something is wrong. And so today, we're going to look, kind of go backwards. We're going to look at three things that I've seen that show me that a relationship is unhealthy. And then we're going to turn it around and say this is what God says is healthy in the life of a believer, even before a significant other comes in. Something that you can place in your life to help you not find yourself in an unhealthy situation. The first thing that I see in an unhealthy relationship is when a person withdraws from their friends. Three signs of an unhealthy relationship. First thing I see is withdrawing from your friends. When you date somebody, look, the most obvious case is when you start dating somebody or you're getting close to somebody, you become friends with somebody and they say, I don't want you to be friends with them. I don't want you to be friends with them. I don't like that person. I don't like your best friend. I don't want you hanging around them anymore. Nope. Guys and girls, look at me. Everybody say that with me. Nope. Oh, no, you didn't say that right. Somebody tells you who you can and cannot be friends with, and that's not your mom and dad. What do you say to them? Nope. Look, you say that. Guys and girls, you say that right now, but it happens every day. I've watched sweet, precious kids that I care a whole lot about that walk in and out of these doors and love Jesus, and then get so infatuated with a guy, get so infatuated with a girl who then begins to control their life, and they say, you can't hang out with those friends anymore. Most likely it's for a reason. They don't want you to be accountable to those friends anymore. They know that your relationship is going in a place that your friends are not going to approve of. And so when you begin to withdraw from the friends that you've always hung out with because of a boyfriend, because of a girlfriend, because of a new friend, that's a red flag. Okay? That's an unhealthy relationship. That's never good. And so if you've got somebody in your life that is controlling who you can and cannot be friends with, that is something that you need to evaluate today. The second thing that I see this, withdrawing from church family. When you start dating somebody and the results of that dating relationship is that you no longer participate in your student ministry, you no longer participate in a small group, you find yourself more and more withdrawing, and you can dress it up any way you like. Look, I'm busy with school, I'm busy with sports, and I rarely have time to see my boyfriend. But here's the thing. If you are too busy to go to church, to grow in your youth group, and and to spend time in God's Word, you are way too busy to be having a relationship with another human being. Because if we say God is the source of love, there is no way that you are going to demonstrate the love of God and live in accordance with His will if you're not spending time with Him first. And so what I see a lot of times, people step away and say, you know what, I'm not going to go to youth group anymore because I just got to go spend time with my boo. We don't say anymore, right? We say, what do we say now? No, please don't say that word. I can't even say it. You guys feel me on it, right? You guys ever see anybody that has stepped away from church because of a relationship with a boyfriend or girlfriend? Or sometimes it's even friends. But that's the thing. Guys and girls, here's the thing. Sometimes that's an unhealthy relationship with education or athletics or with, if you are stepping away from spiritual growth, from spending time with your church family because of any of these things, that's unhealthy. Third thing is this: withdrawing from the practice of faith. What do I mean by this? Quite simple. A lot of times, an unhealthy relationship becomes incredibly difficult to maintain. You start having to compromise on the things that you think are right and wrong in order to keep that person connected to you. You start doing things that when you were connected with your family, with your friends, you would have said, I'll never do that. That when you're hanging out with your student ministry, with your church, you're spending time reading the Word, I'll never do that. But this person comes along and this unhealthy relationship begins to crumble and you say, I got to do something to keep this or my world is going to end. Guess what? That's not your world. That's not your world. And when that unhealthy relationship breaks up, it's like, it'll be okay. But it doesn't feel like it. So for a while, you start stepping away from the things that you know that are right. You know the things that you are doing are displeasing to God, so you move further away from your friends because you don't want to see it. You say, they're judging me. No, they're not. They're concerned about you. They're concerned about you and the direction that your life has taken. You step away from your student ministry. My youth pastor, he always judges me. He gets up, he preaches every week to me. I promise you, nobody steps on the stage and preaches right at you. But a lot of times when the Word of God opens, the Bible says it's sharper than any two-edged sword, and it cuts right down to the marrow of your bones. Because God knows you better than I could ever know you, better than your small group leaders know you, better than even your friends know you. But He'll use your friends, He'll use your parents, He'll use your small group leaders, and I am honored that sometimes He even gets to use me to speak into your life. So we do these things. But let's look at that's unhealthy relations. How do we avoid this? How do we avoid this? There's three things that we are called to do in order to move into a place where you are ready to have a healthy relationship. Three things that I want you to do. And Anna, when I was putting these notes up there, Anna's doing the notes for us today, and she's incredibly awesome. But I got really excited about this. I started writing the notes off my sheet, and I actually wrote a couple extra in there. So I might just say, hey, throw the other note up there or whatever. So Hebrews chapter 10, verse 24 tells us that you and I are to meet together on a regular basis, that we are not to avoid coming together as a group to worship God. Hebrews chapter 10, verse 24 and 25 says this: let us consider how to stir up one another to love and good work. Guys, that word stir is the word spur. Any of you guys ever ridden a horse before? Ride horseback? How many of you guys know, even if you didn't ride a horse, what a spur is? What a spur. It goes on the back of cowboys' boots, jingle, 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 they walk like that. It's not to be fancy. It's that when you ride a horse, there's sometimes that a horse needs to go to a place that he doesn't necessarily want to go, but it's the right place to go. And the cowboy, the one who's giving him direction, will sometimes use a spur to say, go. It doesn't kill the horse. It just isn't comfortable in the moment. And the Bible tells us that you and I are to meet together and have relationship with one another in such a way that when you're in a place that you're not doing what is right, that you get spurred on to do the right thing. Maybe you're being lazy and you're not doing anything, but you come together and this group says, you know what? We are going to do the right thing no matter how uncomfortable it is. We're to spur one another on to good work. It goes on to say, not neglecting to meet together, as is the habit of some, but to encourage one another, and all the more as you see the day drawing near. So put these notes under this there, if you would, Anna. There's a couple things that I want to talk about here. We're supposed to encourage each other. under this encourage each other, we got this idea of this word spur. And I kind of already said this, but I just want you to write the purpose of a spur. You are to be a spur. You're to be someone that stirs other people up, but you're also to have people in your life that will push you to do the right thing, and that you will listen to them, and that you won't run away from them when they tell you what you're doing is wrong, that you will evaluate. Even go further, we're going to talk here about this, Titus chapter 2. It says, older men are to be sober-minded. That's guys like me, old guys, right? We're to be sober-minded. We're to be dignified, self-controlled, sound in faith and love and steadfastness. Those of you that are younger guys, this is what you're to grow up to be. But the way that you grow up to be that is by placing yourself under someone to disciple you. If you don't have someone discipling your life, then you need to find one. And one of the first ways that we try and help you to do that is on Sunday nights and Wednesday night. High schoolers, I get you got a lot of homework. I get you got a lot of stuff going on. But we want to encourage you to be here as much as you can on Sunday nights to place yourself under godly men, godly women. Titus chapter 2 tells us that we are to place godly men and women in your life alongside of your parents to help you move towards the goal of being like Christ. Middle schoolers, that's Wednesday night for you. Be here on Wednesday night. Put yourself in that kind of teaching. We're to be doing that. The next thing under that, who are you discipling? Had a perfect example of this in the first service. Some of you guys have already done this today. We have an opportunity for you guys to serve in our Star Town and in the Cove ministry, and impacting the lives of those that are younger than you. Guys and girls, you have little kids that look up to you. You may not think so, but there are little kids in your life that want to be exactly like you. That's a big responsibility. You have the opportunity to lead them towards Christ or to point them away from Christ. That's a huge opportunity. Keep going on to the next one. Finally, this is our last thing. We're to demonstrate our faith visibly in our community. That's in here. And if you would, go ahead so they can write these down. Put those rest under there. The question that I would ask you is this: where are you serving? Where are you teaching? Who are you accountable to? These are all things that are shown in your Galatians chapter 6, verses 1 through 5, tell us that we are to bear one another's burdens. When we see somebody broken down, we're to lift them up. But it's also saying we are to help people walk this walk. You are to genuinely be in a relationship with others in the faith that will help you become more and more like Jesus. And when you stray off the path, that'll help you. I'm going to ask the band to come. We're going to sing one final song here. Guys, this is so important. I get that this is like moving dirt around on a home site. You're sitting there going, man, I want to see the walls go up. I just want to date somebody. I want to have a boyfriend. I want to have a girlfriend. But I'm going to tell you something until you understand what it is to be fully devoted follower of Jesus Christ, where you're spending daily time with Him, studying His Word, spending time in prayer, where you are involved in a small group, where you are growing with a group of girls, a group of guys who are genuinely accountable to each other, that you are committed to growing in faith in your church, where you are living at home in peace with your brothers and sisters, and you're willing to be submissive to those in authority over you. If you don't have all that right now, if you're not working towards that, along with the school that you have to go to and homework and all of these things, right now, those are the most important things. Those are the foundations that when God brings somebody in your life at some point, that you will be ready then to take that strong foundation and begin building the walls of a relationship that has the possibility of lasting more than 6 months. The goal of life is not to have a girlfriend. The goal of life is not to have a boyfriend. The goal of life is to glorify God in all that we say and do. And that includes the relationships that we have in our life. And I want you to know that those of us in student ministry here, we don't cut down on relationships. We just want to see them glorify God. We want you to know we're praying for you. As you struggle through life, as you walk through life, that we're here for you. We're going to pray with you. We're going to help you as much as we can. But we want to lay this foundation of what a good relationship looks like. I want to pray for you guys. And again, if there's anything that we can be praying for, feel free to DM us. Correct message right there. Feel free to DM us. Feel free to send us an email, call us, whatever. Because we are on your side. We love you guys. Let's pray. God, we love you. We thank you for the opportunity. bless us when we sing this one final song as we go. Lord, I pray that these songs that we've sung today will be songs of our heart. Lord, that as you've spoken to us about right relationships, Lord, I pray for those today who heard these words and know that there are things that need to change. Lord, I pray that you would bind the enemy from distracting them as they walk out of these doors, that immediately they would run to you, they would ask for help, they would seek to be glorifying you in all that they say and do, including the relationships they have with others here on this earth. God, we love you and we praise you. We give you honor and glory for what you've done today through your word. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Guys and girls, please stand one more and time to sing.
Have a great rest of your Sunday.